Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mr. Von Holtz for lesson 34. This is chapter 13 of Toliver's Secret, the last chapter of the book, the last lesson in this unit. The last time we're really discussing Toliver and the Revolutionary War, so I'm excited to finish it up together. As you see when we dive into the lesson, this would be a lesson that we generally spend a lot of time talking about in class and actually diving just a little bit into the text. So this is actually what we're going to be discussing on the Zoom meeting on Friday, April 24th. And so if you would like you start to do this before then and you're having a little trouble, definitely log into it. And also this video will help a lot, but I think the Zoom meeting will give us a chance to all talk about the themes and things that we noticed from the book and what we got from the book all together, like we've done from other books. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. Great. So like I said, today we are doing Toliver's Secret. We're reading pages 157 to 166. You should have, again, either read that by yourself or watched the video and had that read along with me. This is the reading 34. It's the last lesson, and our objective today is similar to two recent lessons. We are going to determine the theme of a story. And you might be like, Mr. Von Holtz, we've already done this at least 2 times, and we've done it earlier in the report period too. Why are we doing it again? And the reason is, a lot of times authors show many themes throughout the book, and we'll see some of the themes repeat. But at the end of the book, they really try to tie those themes and those lessons together and show them the most clear so that the reader, when they're finished reading, walks away being like, this is something that I can use in my life. And so that's really, when you're done reading a fiction text, one of the most important goals is to be able to take the plot, the characters, and the setting, and the themes that have been throughout the entirety of the book, put it together to really have a clear understanding of what the author's message was or what we can take from here. Because we're discussing a whole book, we will be using some details from the chapter, but like I said before, this is something that you really discuss the entirety of the book, everything that happened. And so this is a great discussion piece to have with a group of people because you're pulling a lot of details from all different places of the book. So by the end of today, we should be able to explain a theme of Toliver's Secret, hopefully a theme that appears in the last chapter of the book. And then we're going to write a theme statement to say the message that we learned, and then give specific examples of events and characters that show the theme. And if we're really good, we can give more than just one example of the same theme, because really good authors show the theme in many different places in their book. Before we dive into that, let's just go through our vocabulary, because there's some challenging words I want to make sure that you understand to help you understand what you're reading. And then we'll get activated. We'll quickly go over our strategy and then dive right in. The first word is gabled. It's an adjective describing built with sloping roof sections, simply meaning we actually don't see a ton of these in Philadelphia. We see them some places, but most houses that we see here, if you're looking at the camera and I'm lifting my arms, are built flat. The roofs are like this. Gabled simply means that, like you see when kindergartners draw houses and they think of houses that have a triangle on top, meant to have snow fall off the side. So that's what gabled means. The second word is fortify, to give more strength, resistance, or energy to. When you're building your base in Fortnite, you are fortifying. You are trying to give yourself more strength. Or if something has broken and you're trying to tape it up with duct tape so that it'll be stronger, that's fortifying, just giving something more strength and power. The third word is tiller. It's a handle that is attached to a rudder and used to steer a boat. I don't really know how to describe it differently than that. Yeah, it's the only thing you really use a tiller for. A lot of times that there's a little piece of wood underneath a boat that steers the way that it's going, and the tiller is the handle that kind of guides that. It's kind of like a steering wheel for a boat, a little bit. And then the last word is scow, a large vessel with a rectangular flat-bottomed hull. Scow is just a kind of boat. A lot of boats have a U-shaped bottom so that they float. This one has a flat bottom so that it can hold a lot more stuff. It's usually used for a ferry to move from place to place over short distances. Excellent. So to get our brains working in the direction that we're going to be discussing today, in this lesson, Ellen returns home to New York after being in Elizabethtown and from being in Perth Amboy. And I just wanted to know, how does it feel to return home after a long trip? So pause the video now, put your thinking on the page, then when you come back, we'll discuss it. Great. Now that you're back, people feel differently when they come home from a long trip. I feel usually one of two ways. I usually feel exhausted because I was doing too much on that trip. I had too much fun, and then when I got back, I almost need a break from the break I just took, whatever trip it was. Or sometimes I feel really energized. I feel like that break gave me a lot of rest, or I learned something or read something during that break that really pumped me up and got me excited about whatever it is I'm coming home to do. And so on your trips, you might feel those ways, or you might feel something completely different. We'll talk about Ellen and how she feels when she gets back. All right, just as always, we're going to dive into the thinking questions, and as always, the thinking questions are going to help us and guide us to our exit ticket. And if we take a look at what we're going to be doing today, again, we're explaining a theme of Toliver's Secret. We're going to write a theme statement to say the message or lesson that we learned, and then we're going to give some specific examples and events and character reactions that show the theme. You can, with books, there's usually many themes that you can draw from. I'm thinking for this, there's probably 3 or 4 that are really good. I'll try to discuss as many of them as I can, but I'll only be putting one answer down so that you can just see the parts of a good response that you should have. If you have a different thought, a different theme, and you can explain it, that's wonderful. I'd rather you do your own thinking than just copy what I'm doing, but you can still check your work against mine, because you should still have the different parts of your response, even if your response is different. Okay? And before we dive into the thinking questions, just to get us on, or a quick reminder of what a theme is, we're going to go back to what would usually be our anchor chart, but just our seed to theme strategy. And just go through it very quickly. A reminder that a theme is a deeper lesson or truth about life that everyone can use all the time to improve their life. Okay? Here's some examples of some common themes that we've now seen a bunch of different times. And then here, the strategy that we've been using, this seed to theme, where we start with a big idea that we find through repeated patterns or problems or topics that are brought up in the text. We use these questions to grow that idea. Questions like, what does the character learn about themselves or the world? Or how does the character solve their problem? And then it grows into a theme that is a lesson that we can all use all the time to improve their life. We're going to do that again today, this time noticing the topics or ideas that are brought often, not just in a certain part of the text, a chapter, but in the entirety of the book. And in a discussion, this comes across pretty transparently because we've seen this topic brought up a bunch, or we see these events happen, and we've discussed it over and over and over again. So it might sound a little bit repetitive, but that means the book has done a good job showing us the lesson that they want us to learn. And again, our thinking questions are actually going to be connected to these kind of questions here that are going to help us find, and these questions here, find the big ideas, the small, that are seeds that we can then grow into a full theme. Let's do it. All right. So first thinking question, why did the author include a scene in which Ellen sees Dicey again? Take a minute to answer this question on your own. Pause the video. Great, you're back. I think this is a really good question for, especially for those of you who are working on your writing. The author didn't have to include the scene with Dicey. It's not critical to the end of the story. Ellen's home. She could just go see her grandfather, and everything would be dandy. But on purpose, the author puts that scene where Ellen sees Dicey again to show us something about Ellen. And I want to go to that exact... And the answer to this question will help us find an important theme that I think will show in the book. I'm going to bring us to that exact page, which is page 164. Let me switch over to camera view. Camera view. I'm going to start making sound effects for this. And as on page 164, this is the day after Ellen has arrived home. And the whole scene plays out like this. Ellen has gone to the water well to get water again. Then Dicey comes by. Her face grew red with anger when she saw Ellen. "Are you here again?" she cried as she walked slowly, heavily toward Ellen. "Yes, I'm here again." Ellen put down her bucket. She was ready to duck out of the way if Dicey came too close, but she was not afraid of her. That line right there is a big line. She was not afraid of her. Okay. She said, "I told you not to come here, Miss Fine Lady." Then Ellen thrust out her chin and stared back at Dicey. "This pump is near my house," she said calmly, "and I intend to use it, no matter what you say." And then right down here, I underlined it. Dicey walks away. And so that shows a lot. It shows that not only has Ellen changed. That's the big one. It shows us that Ellen has changed. She used to be afraid of Dicey, and now she's not afraid anymore. She's already done way harder things and stood up to way scarier people than Dicey. So standing up to Dicey is no big deal. I think it might also show as part of a theme, a lesson that if you're being bullied, if you show them that you are not afraid, and if you notice that she's very calm, she doesn't say anything mean, if you show that they're not afraid, they'll likely leave you alone. And so either of those things make sense to me, and I think that's why the author included this scene. So the author includes, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to tab down, also get rid of the bold so it sticks out a little bit. The author includes a scene between Ellen and Dicey again to show that Ellen is no longer afraid of her because she has already stood up and can say overcome much scarier people and problems than Dicey. It shows us that when we face our fears, not even just say face some of our fears, we learn to face others as well. Hey, does that sound like a theme lesson? When we face some of our fears, we learn to face others as well. That's a lesson that everyone could use all the time, right? So maybe that's a theme that you pull out of here, that you will learn to face our fears, we can face other fears as well. Cool. Now, the second question. How does Ellen feel after her journey? And why does she feel that way? Take a couple minutes now, go back and check the text. And that you're back. Cool. I'm going to pull out some direct evidence to show how she feels. On page 161, back to the camera. Let's try the sound effect. Let me know if that's a good one. Otherwise, I'll keep practicing and trying different sound effects. Right. It says, soon she was running along the street and pushing her way through the crowds. They were the same crowds as yesterday, the same noisy men with wheelbarrows, the same rowdy boys, the same grumbling workmen with heavy loads on their backs, but she felt different. She wasn't afraid of them. Okay. So here we can see that she feels different than she did when she left. She feels braver. She no longer feels afraid. I think also on page 162, whoops, sorry, I'm facing the camera. Right here, she comes in and screaming. She says, "I did it! I did it! I did it!" So clearly, right at the top, she shows that she's incredibly excited. She feels really good about accomplishing this mission. And then later on, too, just to answer why. So she feels really good. She feels much more confident. I'm going to do this one more time. And then the back here, on pages 165 and 166, I guess 164 on the bottom, she receives a message and it says, General Washington's small army had crossed the Delaware River from Pennsylvania to New Jersey on Christmas night and taken the city of Trenton by surprise. Washington had been able to plan a surprise attack because he had learned so much about British plans from the Patriots in New York and the couriers who had carried their messages. I think that tells us why she's so excited, because she was one of those couriers. She carried the message. And so because she carried the message, General Washington was able to win many victories. That's incredible. This small girl was able to help the Patriots, without fighting, win many victories and actually turn the tide of the war so that they could actually win when they were expected to lose. And so she feels great because she was playing a part in a very difficult struggle, and because of her hard work, the Patriots were much more successful. So that was a lot. Let's get all of it. Again, I wanted to get rid of the bold. Get away. When Ellen returns home, she feels much more confident and proud of what she accomplished. She's more confident because she faced many problems. Man, my typing is off again today. I'm sorry, guys. Many problems along her mission, and she overcame every one. The hustle and bustle of the city no longer seems as threatening. She feels proud because her help, I am continuing to misspell because, and that's not okay. B-E-C-A-U-S-E. She feels proud because her hard work helped the Patriots be more successful and even helped General Washington and his army win more victories. I mean, I'd feel pretty good about that, wouldn't you? If something that you did helped our army do better than it was supposed to do? Absolutely. All right. Third question, what does Ellen learn about the world from her experience? Going to give you a few minutes. There's a lot that she learns here. Can pause the video, and when you're ready, come on back. Great. A couple things, or many things that she learns about the world, and these are really where we're going to drive home the theme, which is an idea about the world. She learns from the things that we just discussed. How does she feel? That confidence, and I'm looking at some of my notes, sorry, I'm looking away from the camera. Confidence helps us complete important tasks and stand up for ourselves. She learns that when you do hard things, you build your confidence, and then you can stand up for yourself and accomplish more things. Okay? She also learns that when you do a good job, even if you encounter challenges, you feel good about it. And she learned in other chapters too that things aren't always what they appear. She also learned that sometimes you have to sacrifice and to accomplish or to be part of a bigger cause. She learned that even young people can have an effect on really important world events. And she learned many, many, many different things. So I'm going to write one or two down, but there's so many different things that she learns and that we learn from her. So just a couple things she learns. First is that confidence helps you face your fears and stand up for yourself. Beep. She learned that it feels good to accomplish something difficult after facing challenges. Oop, I typed face your beep, 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 too many times. She also learned that anyone can make a difference if they work hard and don't give up. Because she made a big difference in the war effort because she did her job and she didn't give up on it. And again, I think she learned so many different things. As long as you can explain how she learned that, like I just did, then you're set up to have a theme. Excellent. And now the last question, again, what did you learn about Ellen as a freedom fighter? This might not directly connect to your theme quite as much, but it's still a really good thing to think about. So pause the video, think about it, type it in. And now that you're back, a couple things. We learned that she was part of a group. It wasn't just her that did everything important. She was part of a chain of people that delivered the message. And so that we learned that she was an important part of the chain. We also learned that even though she was standing up for freedom, she wasn't fighting for it with like guns in her fists, that she was finding other ways to contribute. We learned that people can contribute to a cause in many different ways. So we learned that Ellen is a part of a group that worked together to fight for freedom. No one could have accomplished it their own. Everyone needed to work together in order to be successful. We also learned that there are many ways to fight for freedom, not just being a soldier. Great. So, oops, forgot the word. There are many ways to fight for freedom. Excellent. So, these questions, depending on how you answer them, should have guided your thinking to your exit ticket about explaining a theme for Toliver's Secret. Any of the ones that we've come up with here could be acceptable. And there's also many others too, as long as you've got different examples from the text. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to pick one of these at random. I'm going to say, let's do number 2. It feels good to accomplish something difficult after facing challenges. And then when you do yours, as long as you have these parts where you say the theme, you give specific examples of the events that show it, then you're going to be good. So one theme in the book, and then this is a book, so it should be underlined. Toliver's Secret is I'm gonna put my theme in quotes because I think it's easier to see that way. Is it feels good to accomplish, what did I say before? Accomplish something difficult after facing challenges. The story shows this because when I'm firing myself from typing the word because. The story shows this because when Ellen returns home, she is incredibly proud of her role in completing her mission. She is smiling and cheering when she arrives home, feeling really good about what she did. The story also shows us shows this because Ellen is different now that she has accomplished her mission. She is no longer afraid of Dicey or the large crowds in New York. She feels better about herself because she didn't let any of the many challenges she faced stop her from delivering the bread to Mr. Shannon. All right. So, picked a theme. Did we explain it? Sure did. Said why this story shows this. Gives some examples specifically from the text. She is smiling and cheering. Because it takes the whole text, you can use specific evidence if you'd like to, or you can use paraphrasing like I did. As long as you're just saying specifically what she did, like smiling and cheering, not just like she feels happy, and then her reaction, like she is no longer afraid, being specific about the things that she's showing that's different. Marvelous. And so our final closing thought connects to our activation. What more do we learn about coming home? I think when I shared my thought, it was about feeling either rested or feeling energized. I think we learned also that if you're coming home from doing something really hard, that return to comfort can be really rewarding because you can take the time to reflect and realize, hey, I'm not the same person I was when I left. I've grown, I've become better, I've improved myself in ways that I didn't think I was possible before. So that's something that we can take from this. And if you learn something different about coming home, then you can make sure to write that down. So that's the end of lesson 34. That's the end of Toliver's Secret. I hope you guys enjoyed the book. And again, hop on the Zoom meeting at 2 o'clock today, if you're watching it the day of April 24th. So we can discuss it and the things that we enjoyed about it, the things that we took from it and learned about it, or from it. And then be excited for our next unit, is what we'll call it, unit of, well, I guess you'll have to just watch the next videos to find out. This has been enjoyable. Again, always with comments, questions, or suggestions, please reach out. I'm happy to modify the videos to be more helpful, as long as it's helping you guys do a lot of thinking to improve yourselves. Right? Stay healthy, stay happy, keep reading, and we'll see you on the next video.